wild child, and he's the stable guy.
He's like the drunk horny uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's like the unruly.
the high.
She's like
the growing wild child.
Yeah, she's like the unruly.
Yeah.
I'm like the dad.
Dad.
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
grandpa.
definitely dad vibes.
I'm mad wise and shit.
He's the grandpa.
Or fake wise.
You know,
Granddad.
What's the
Yeah.
man?
Not leaving.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So what? It's
Truly.
at 5%.
Right now,
Right.
Truly.
you're looking at me like, you drinking?
Right?
Right.
Zeus got one. For
Does?
he does or had. He had one for one of his workout classes.
A truly for working out?
Cool.
Yeah, we walked out of the workout with a technically, because it's only 100 calories.
Only 100 calories?
Yo, where have you been?
What?
Cut the check, truly.
These Lyft drivers, man.
That's unbelievable.
Right.
Truly.
Oh, we're good one. Oh, we're live. Oh, we're live.
I was waiting
my
for
bad.
you.
Check. If you're hearing the sound of my voice or watching this on YouTube, that means you're now tuned into chapter 176, 75, around there of the Introverted Intuition Podcast. My name is Jeff. As always, I got my family with me, my co-host, Sour Skittles and CR908. Please say what's up to the people.
Hi, it's Rachel Barbie.
Yo, it's your boy CR908, aka the King of New Jersey. You heard me?
Before we let our guest introduce himself, I just want to remind you guys that we are sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a service that provides online therapy. The way 2020 was for a lot of people, the way 2021 has been for a lot of people, therapy is definitely a great medium to get through this bullshit. So if you go to betterhelp.com/introvert, use the code introvert at checkout, you can get 10% off your first month and get therapy from the comfort of your own home. I repeat, the comfort of your own home. So again, that's betterhelp.com/introvert. Use the code introvert at checkout to get 10% off your first month. Now we have a guest.
Yes,
Come on,
sir.
you forgot a sponsor.
Do we allow the guest to introduce
Forgot the
himself?
sponsor.
Totally skipped over her sponsor.
Oh, she has a sponsor. Oh, that's fine. My bad.
Ooh,
this is
I'm too
awkward.
professional.
the most
My
important
bad. Did you? Okay, go ahead.
plug. You know?
Well, now the kicker went away. My whole little witty comeback is gone. So I'm just going to say go over to manscaped.com and use the code BlackManCry2 for 20% off and free shipping.
20%.
That's my bad. I'm like still waking up fully.
Yeah, you better drink some more Truly.
Mad Truly. I need all the Trulies tonight. This podcast is not sponsored by Truly, but if there's
Yes.
someone from Truly's watching this podcast,
You can.
yeah, you definitely can.
Holler at us.
But again, we have a guest tonight, and it just so happens that his manager is also on the couch. So how does this work? Does the manager introduce the client, or does the client introduce himself?
Introduce myself.
Come on.
Ooh.
She does the background work, and I show up and just do what I do
Be
best.
both.
Ooh.
I love this dynamic.
So yes, my name is Mac. I am a mental health therapist with a specialization in couples therapy. I'm also the owner of Therapy is for Everyone, which is located in New York, where we provide counseling services to all individuals and specialize with minorities of color. Our goal is to rid the world and the Black community of the stigma attached to therapy. My professional goal is to rid the world of mediocre love by teaching and educating people on how to obtain, sustain, and enhance all aspects of Black love.
Man, I have so many questions.
Let's go, man.
See why
I would
he
like to know the
introduces
origin
himself?
story of
That
how
was
you
a great
connected.
introduction.
But our little icebreaker segment of the show we like to start off with is called Highlights and Lowlights, where each of us go around in a roundtable format and share either a highlight or a low light of our previous week. I'll start. I challenged myself this week. I did something new, a new form of writing I've never done. I started doing poetry. I read my first poem to my girl yesterday, got some good feedback. So I think I might do like a little poetry book in the future.
I know someone you should collab with.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we'll talk.
She knows
We'll definitely
everybody,
talk.
man.
Shit, am I about to be a new client? But yeah, it was a new challenge, new territory. It was really fun. And I think it's actually the most authentic form of writing I think I've done in a while. Like sometimes I draw from other people's experiences when I write and definitely my own, but poetry is just pure feeling. And it was really fun. So
How naked did that make you feel? Emotionally naked.
oh no, I wear my emotions and my heart on my sleeve. So like, it's no problem for me to get to that part of my personality ever.
So in other words, you're an emotional nudist.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you for like putting a title on that.
Words.
God, he's a fucking
The
rapper.
wordsmith, man.
A literal rapper and lip
A little
dropper.
bit.
Yeah, that was my highlight. New challenge, new form of writing. Anyone else have a highlight or low light?
I can go. My energy is up because I just had a really fun photo shoot, like I was saying prior to. It was last minute, I promise. A concept came and someone hit me up and then the pieces fell together and it just felt fun to just be like black. It was hella black shit. Like everything was hella black shit. There was bikes. They were running from the cops. A white person was walking her dog and then clearly she was the one who called, whatever, Karen, I see you. But it just felt like fun. And then we made such a good connection with them. We're going to do it again. We're going to have Henny bottles and blunts. So it's going to be bottles and blunts and bikes. That's going to be the next concept. Nobody steal that shit because if you do, I'm running a check off of you. I don't know. I got a creative high today and I needed it.
Nice.
So that was like a good recharge.
Excellent. For me, I would say that I've been teaching my daughter, she's 16 months old, how to say happy birthday because my birthday is in literally 3 weeks.
Wow.
You're a Leo?
Correct.
Oh
So am
my
I.
gosh.
Best in the game. Come on, bro. Come on, man.
The chemistry's undeniable.
Exactly. Emotional nudist.
Us.
Is that the name of this episode now?
Yes.
God damn it.
So my biggest gift that I'm looking for is for her to say somewhat of a happy birthday on my birthday. Like I could care about nothing else. I just want to hear something to the sense of happy birthday, Dada.
That's cute.
I hope you get that.
Me too.
Can you record it if you do? Well, I mean,
I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll try.
You'll probably be too emotional to even think about anything else if that does happen.
Listen, I'll buy her whatever she wants after that.
All right.
love it.
Conscious rap.
It's been a challenging week, guys. Car broke down on me right when I was about a quarter mile from the house.
Wow.
The engine just blew.
Wow.
I was high, but that's not why. Okay. Residual problems from when I had ran into that flood, that really big puddle.
When you were
Right. When you were high.
okay.
You had chicken in your hand too. Don't
Facts.
leave that part
The
out.
chicken
Facts.
was more to blame. But anyway, despite that, I've been stuck in the house while my car is being taken care of. The highlight of that is I bought an extended warranty. So I won't be coming out of pocket, yes. But while I've been in the house, I've been taking advantage of just trying to figure out trading options. And it's something, I'll talk about briefly. I just feel that, it's something that a lot of people in the, who practice like stock market trading and things like that. It's another strategy to make money, depending on how much you leverage can depend on how much you get back from it. So I've been playing around with that now. And that's basically what I've been able to do with my time being stuck in the house. Cause I drive Lyft full time. So I'm trying to make the most of it until I get my car back, but it's been hell. But besides that, I've still been able to keep my spirits up, guys. And today was one hell of a journey to get here. I came all the way from Northwest New Jersey. No car. Took 2 trains. No, 3 trains.
Right.
And
You're here.
I'm here.
And we love it.
And you were on time. I was very impressed by that.
I do pride myself with being punctual. Despite
It's the Haitian in you, huh?
yes, I cannot be late.
Me too.
That's the
refuse.
Haitian thing.
Yes. I had to be at school at 7 a.m. My dad would get me there at 5:30. At times, I felt like I was the one that was opening up the school. Honestly. And since then, I'm usually never late to anything.
Right.
Yeah.
The only information I barely get from the Haitian culture is from this guy, but you don't really talk about that too.
You don't ask about it.
I don't ask, but I thought because you're proud Haitian, I thought
I'm very informative
volunteer.
of Haitian culture. If you ask, I can answer.
Interesting. So I'm about to be a double interview today.
Right.
But
Like, you came
for
with
now,
that heat.
the focus is on your clients. Now, I'm not sure if the perspective or the stories are different in terms of how you guys got introduced to each other and how you started working. So I would like for you to maybe start the story off and maybe chime in if there's any differences you want to point out. But how did this connection come about? How did you find each other?
She slid in my DMs.
I did.
Yeah, she was like, I want to do a live with you. You come highly recommended. And we did a live. And I'd like to say that my performance was on point.
Yes, it was.
Then we had
Very informative.
Correct. And we had a second live.
Instagram Live.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like during the pandemic when everyone was on live and
Every therapist was doing lives every day.
everybody was doing lives every day about everything.
Niggas
But it
were
was
just trying to talk.
Correct.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we built a rapport through social media. Then she invited me for Black Men Cry 2, Season 2, Episode 2.
Ooh, he remembers which one.
And at that time period, I was ready.
He was very early also.
And I was saying, yeah, I was.
So we had time
I
to
brought
talk.
a gift. I always bring a
He
gift.
didn't come empty-handed.
Right.
That was also a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, like I was ready. Like I've been preparing to be part of the bigger conversation around mental health and specifically Black love for a very long time. Like I have a multitude of trainings. I've read so many books. I've written so many papers. Like I was ready, and I was looking for someone that can do the background work and just tell me when and where to show up. So when I went to the episode taping, I'm like, I'm looking for a manager. She's like, I might do that. And I needed someone as hungry as me, an underdog that's never done this before, that doesn't have all of the standard relationships. I wanted someone that's going to think outside of the box. Since we started working together, I've done zero media. I updated my media sheet last week. Bruh, it was tiring. Just copy and pasting from Yahoo News, from the Government Institute, from the Black Love page, from WebMD, Cosmopolitan. Like we did a lot of work in about 6 months. A lot of podcasts.
Social media growth.
We went from 3,000. I'm close to 10,000 right now. And I haven't even posted in 3 weeks.
That's what's
It's
up.
the off season right now. Like I'm doing the background work to get better about the certain points that I want to hit. And we're working on some products that's going to revolutionize the Black relationship landscape in New York City.
So take us even further back. Like, do you remember the first time you even heard the word therapy? Like, how did your introduction to this world come about? Where did your journey begin?
That is an excellent question.
He's really good too.
I never knew what a therapist was. I knew that I wanted to do something with psychology because I was always trying to understand women. My whole teenage years, I was trying to get women and understand women. Right? So in high school, I had a notebook with mad pickup lines, bro. There was fire. No.
Man, you should
They
have
were
that.
That would be classic.
right. So I would just be trying to pick up lines in class. Like I was the class clown, but I would still have a 95 average. Then I took a sociology course, and the first day of class, I sat down. The black professor, black male, the first black male professor I've ever had, and it was my senior year in high school. He asked me, "Why did you choose that seat?" Like, I don't know, I just chose the seat. And we started talking about the psychological reasons as to why we select who you want to sit around based on our comfort zone around them. Right? Why did I not sit in the back? Why did I not sit in the front? Why did I choose the middle? So from there on, every morning, like class started at 7:50. I was in that class at 7 a.m. We will talk straight for 50 minutes. And we'll just be kicking game, arguing about nothing and everything. If the tree falls down and no one hears it, does it make a noise? Right? We would just be debating and having all of these psychological back and forth. Then in college, again, straight to psychology, loved it. Behavioral psychology, loved it. Then I started to diagnose everybody around me. Like, you're this personality. You're that. You're this. You're that. And I got A+ on all of my courses. I read every textbook from page 1 to the last page. Literally enjoyed every aspect of it. Then I started working full time at a bank, which also allowed me to work on my people skills. I'm seeing people every day. I'm handling their money, and we're doing transactions. Sometimes I'll have people in front of me for 2 hours just talking about relationships while I'm at work. And that whole time, I'm helping my friends in all of their relationships. They have a fight, I have the phone. I'm replying. You think you're talking to your boyfriend, but you're talking to me, right? First date, here's a list of questions. That's what you want to ask. I even researched on how to create the best first date ever. And there's some nice psychology behind that. I even went into psychology of color and on how to create attraction. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but on MTV, there was a show called The Pickup Artist. Right? Or VH1.
Early 2000s, maybe? Mid 2000s?
Early, right? Like this guy who was the pickup artist, like he will go to a club and just pick up any girl easily. I read every single book he wrote. I was going to pay for that training and everything. Again, I love women.
Research.
Exactly. I was curious. Correct. I was hitched to some degree. Then as I was working at the bank, I felt like I was allowing my life to go past me. I had my bachelor's. I was working full time. Like I would go to sleep, wake up, and I'm back at work. And I didn't like that. So I applied for grad school 2 weeks late. I called them using my psychology knowledge, say, hey, I've applied for the past 3 months. I heard no response whatsoever. Like, what's going on?
Right.
And this is a private institution. Like, this is unacceptable. They gave me an appointment the next day, showed up, did everything they asked, and started classes the next week. During my elective class, so I went for a mental health degree. I had no idea what that meant. I just knew it had to do with psychology and helping people. During my elective class, which was about relationships, I was introduced to something that changed my life. It was called the got-met approach, right? And at that time period, I was in a relationship with my current wife. I think we're going on 10 years. And bro, we were struggling. I wasn't shit. I didn't know how to communicate. We would fight all day. Like, it was bad. We were breaking up every other week. And I'm like, I got to keep this girl. So in that class, we did an exercise on communication skills. And it was so simple, so practical, but it was also research driven. Like, it has been tested for over 40 years and has been shown to work. And the light bulb went off. I drove to her house that day. I live in Queens. She lived in Long Island. That's like a 45-minute drive. Took her to dinner, and we did every single exercise in that book.
My man has dedication. That's the energy I want in my life. Come on, kings.
Get you a Haitian.
And since then, bro.
I had enough. I'm good.
And since then, we've never had a conflict. We've had disagreements, but we've never had a conflict. I haven't argued with my wife for over 5 years now. We can talk about anything and everything, but it will never be, I'm going to cuss you out, this and that. We're not talking. I'm sleeping downstairs. None of that. And that's when I decided I'm going to be Robin Hood. I'm going to use my privilege as a Black male therapist to get access to all of this information that's out there that we're not privy to. So before even graduating, I did 2 training with the Got-Med Institute. So I could gain more of their knowledge, get access to their research, so I could take back to my brothers and sisters that look like me, that just like me, and that are going through the same thing that I'm going through. So I can give them the information. Because knowledge is power. Power is freedom. Because prior to that, I was asking older men that were married, hey, how do I fix this? How do I fix that? They couldn't give me anything concrete. They were giving me their opinion. What works for you will not work for me.
Right.
Right? And if you go on social media, all the experts are giving you their opinions. I don't. I work with you to improve your skills so you can have the necessary conversation so you can make the best decision for your relationship.
I have so many questions. God.
Come on, man, let's go.
What have you, okay, so you said you always had a desire to understand women.
Correct.
Was that solely for the intention to have intimate relations with them, or were you trying to understand yourself through understanding women?
So I understood males because I was a male and most of my friends were males, right? And we were always having girl trouble. So I wanted to be able to see the world through their eyes so I can have a deeper understanding of them. I wanted to create a safe space where women felt safe around me. We can have all these type of conversations and just be present.
I will attest to that. I never feel uncomfortable or not safe or protected around you or like in talking with you.
Yeah. I have been in locker rooms. I have been in barbershops and the things that dudes will say. Right now that I'm a therapist, I'll show up at my barbershop. Is the funniest thing ever. Oh shit, the therapist is here. Yo, back. I lost my bitch. How do I win her back? Yo, I need to stop cheating. What do I do?
Well, right. First off, let's start with not calling her your bitch. But I mean, whatever.
You wondering why you lost her.
Hello.
Right?
Correct. So the conversation has now changed around me because they know how I present myself. And now I used to have a lot of male friends. I would say right now, 90% of my friends are women. I'll even say 96.
What type of love did you see growing up? And is the type of love you have now a reflection of that, or is it the complete opposite?
I was Haitian, right? So I would say like growing up in a Caribbean home, you don't see as much affection. But early on, I was an affectionate guy. I treated my mom like my first wife. I called her my wife, right? On her birthdays, whatever you need, dinner on me, these type of things. Like me and her, like I treated her well, and she also took care of me. My father, he just goes to work and come home,
pay the bills.
Exactly. But that's how he showed his love, and that's okay because
the provider. Yeah,
because if you think of it, we're coming from slavery. It's from generation to generation to generation. And in a third world country, it's all a matter of survival. Right? So men are not allowed or given that space where they can be vocal or affectionate because they were never used to that. So I can never hold my upbringing against my parents, but in actuality, they gave me the foundation that I needed so I can accomplish everything else. A stable home, food, clothes. The rest is up to me.
I have a question. So where did you find your voice in order to even be, this insightful and this willing to be able to talk about your emotions? Because I grew up Haitian too. I already know the stigma. Growing up Haitian, they don't really talk about their feelings. And if you do, they're kind of just like, oh, you'll be okay.
Or pray about it. Go to church.
Exactly. Well, the interesting thing is, right, back at home in my community, I was the black sheep. I did not accept the customs. You cannot speak to me any kind of way just because I am a child.
Let's talk about
it. We've said it here too.
As a Leo, I'm gonna credit my Leo-ness to that, right? Like you
and I'm a Leo rising, so we're all Leos on the side.
You can't treat me exactly how you want. I was very vocal. I did what I felt was morally right, not what was required. And I've always been that way. And my family always had my back. So with the other adults, when I didn't do something for them, I'm like, your child is right here. Why am I going to do this for you? Have your child do it. Well, I'm older than you. I don't care.
Facts.
And that's okay. And I've been like that my whole life. Like right now in this space, I don't have a desire to be liked. I am here to bring the work and bring the facts and bring the stats and bring the knowledge. Those that love me, love me. Those that like me, like me. If it works for you, it works for you. If you find that I'm too competitive or I'm challenging you or I'm taking away from your plate, that's your problem. Your perception of me is rooted in your bias. It's not a true depiction of who I am. That's just how you view me based on your life experience. I may trigger something in you that I may not even be aware of. It's not my responsibility to check that. That is for you to do your self-work and identify where is that rooted from so you can work through that so you can see me for who I am.
It seems like this is just my perception of what you're saying. You can definitely interrupt me or correct me if I'm wrong. It seems that you kind of lead with the logical side of your brain first, as opposed to your emotions, with how you view love and relationships.
So I would say
hybrid.
To some degree, I would say in the relationship field, there's a science to relationships. It's been
Proven.
Relationship has been present for as long as we can remember. So there has to be a science to it, right? There has to be a certain pattern. A lot of times when we're looking at relationships, we're thinking of it from an emotional standpoint versus the scientific approach, the research approach, the evidence-based approach. So when I do talk of relationships, it may sound like I'm being more logical, but that's because I'm using the research and the science to explain it to help it make sense.
Yeah.
But within our home, bro, I'm the biggest baby. I am not the big spoon. I want to be held. I want to be cuddled. I want to be told I look good. I love you. My daughter, the amount of kisses that this girl receives a day is ridiculous. I'm very hands-on.
Right.
Feed me, touch me. That's it.
You're speaking my language, man.
Right, me too.
I'm too an emotional guy, man.
Yeah.
Too emotional? I don't like that.
Ooh, correct that.
Why are you too emotional? There's no such thing.
No, you're talking too an emotional.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, I guess I could be perceived as too emotional because emotions don't make sense, but what does make sense is the feeling they provide you when you're in those moments.
Yes. And now if we take that and we tie it in with social media, right? If you think of the relationship experts on social media, right? The one that have the biggest platforms, what are they good at? They are good at putting your emotions into words. That's how they get your buy-in, right? Oh my God, you're saying exactly how I feel. So this method allows you to give them a credibility that they don't really have.
Is that how they earn the title expert?
Listen, people wake up today, go on social media tomorrow, and the next day they are relationship experts. So
you saw that guy Derek Jackson, like he was literally a scumbag. So it's like, how do you even fight against that perception of like just your field? Like, because some will say, look at your bio, how are you?
I'm a therapist. I have certifications and diploma to show what I do.
And hours of work.
Correct. And learning. And when I'm talking, I'm not just putting your. A lot of relationship experts will talk to people. I talk you through your relationship. There's a difference, right? You'll never hear me say, well, girl, God don't want you to be with this man. What I'm going to tell you is what's not working. What is it that you were doing prior that you're no longer doing now? Because if your cup is empty, more than likely his cup is empty as well. Think how powerful is it to go home and say, I'm not happy. And to hear your partner say, I'm not happy either. For the first time, you're on the same page. Now you can decide what to do next. We can work on improving this relationship, or we can attempt to turn away from each other. You're not supposed to be giving advice about relationships because your personal perspective, your personal experience is rooted in your bias. What worked for you may not work for someone else. For example, right? Which one is true? Out of sight, out of mind, or distance makes the heart grow fonder?
Distance makes the heart grow fonder.
That's true for you.
Out of sight, out of mind.
That's true for you.
That's what I was gonna say.
They're both right. They both make sense. But if I ask you for advice, you're going to speak from that experience, right? So now I'm going to take that as the gospel and believe that's how it's supposed to be. But in reality, this might be true for me. That's what's wrong with giving advice, right? So if a client comes in front of me and they're doing a long distance relationship, now the key is how can I create rituals of connections to allow you guys to feel connected even though you are apart, right? I'm going to assess how often do you guys talk? How do you connect? What are these conversations about? So I may draft certain questions for you to elicit more vulnerability, right? Certain structure on how you guys can talk more often. Look at your schedule and find ways to allow you guys to connect so you don't feel that distance as much. That's the difference between someone that specializes in this field that knows what they're doing versus someone that's speaking from their experience.
Right.
Even though there might be some truth in your experience, but that's your story.
It's too subjective.
Yeah.
Way too subjective.
I have a question. Is it looked at as, let's say you're working with a couple and they go home and then they make the decision like, this isn't working, we're not happy, let's part. As a relationship therapist, how do you view that? Is that like a win, a loss?
Fun fact.
And look at it like that.
I've never had a couple that has not worked out yet, I would say.
Excuse me.
But again, there are relationships where things have gone wrong for so long that there's no way to come back. On average, couples wait 6 years too late before engaging in couples therapy. So the goal is to play offense, not defense. People wait until something is wrong to go to therapy. We wait till we're sick to go see a doctor versus doing the preventive work.
Yeah, prevention over treatment.
But you wouldn't recommend
That's what they taught us in school.
like a newer relationship to invest in that, right?
Oh, yes, I would.
1 month in, 2 months in.
The minute you are committed and you want to make this work, go get the knowledge, right? Go learn how to communicate. Go learn how to handle conflict. Go learn how to build a friendship.
Like your foundation tool.
Exactly. Go learn how to increase and maintain the intimacy, right? Don't wait until things go wrong for you to start doing the work.
That's most people's perception on therapy is I should only be going there when something's wrong. This is like the emergency button.
Like, oh, we just broke this.
Right.
Come fix us.
Yeah.
90% of males in relationships that call me for therapy, the minute I get that consultation request, it's for a male, it usually has to do with affairs. Hey, I cheated. We need therapy. Right? Therapy has become the go-to fixer. But what I assess is how committed are you to the process? So I would see couples, but they've already talked to a lawyer. They know exactly how much it's going to cost to get divorced. So they're not really committed to the process of therapy. So if you're not committed, it's not going to work because you got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. If that's the case, I'm not seeing you. I will label it and I will say it. You're not committed. So if this is what you want? Well, therapy is our last chance. That's not going to work. If it's your last resort and you already pictured a life, you've already got another apartment because you know you're going to leave, you're wasting all of our time.
They're just using it as a...
So the conversation become, how can we break things up in a healthy manner? How can we ensure what narrative are we going to present to the children? What does custody is going to look like? How are we going to handle our finances? Right? Because sometimes it's too late, which is why I always say, go to therapy as quickly as possible. Do a workshop, read a book, do something, do the work.
Right. What's like your schedule like in terms of like how many clients do you have per week? And I ask that because you're really intaking stories ranging from the most severe stuff, examples of what could possibly happen to you, not God forbid, right? And that could be draining, taxing on the mind and the heart. And it could kind of create some paranoia because you may be noticing certain patterns or trends in your clients' conversations about their issues, and you may reflect it back into your own in some way. So like that can be really draining. So how much, like, what is your schedule like? And is there a cap on how much you can take from all these stories and information you're getting?
Burnout is real, right? Once a year, I would take a month off where I'll take my wife on a lustication, just the two of us, where we get to reconnect and do all the things that we want to do. But again, like for me, I enjoy working with couples so much that it doesn't negatively impact me. It actually does the opposite. When I hear a 50-year-old claim she has not received flowers for 20 years, after the session, I'm going to the flower shop and I'm going to buy my wife flowers because I never want to end up like that. Sometimes it's a reminder on the things that I could also be doing better, right? And my wife is well aware of what I do. So at times I will come to her like, I need 30 minutes. I would lay on the floor, turn off all of the lights and just lay there. And she will respect that.
Beautiful.
And she knows when I say I need a massage, she's like, go ahead. Or she'll schedule one for me. Right? Like our partnership and the way we attune to each other's emotions. I know what she's thinking before she even says it most times. I know how she's feeling before she's even aware of it, and vice versa. Because we communicate consistently. And we have rituals in our relationship that, based on research, we are a masterful couple. Like there's a science to becoming a masterful couple. I've instilled that in my relationship. And after having children, your relationship changes, right? On average, couples that have children only spend 10% of their time together. So how do you maximize that 10%? How do you ensure she doesn't feel overwhelmed with taking care of the child all day while you're at work? How do you ensure that she feels seen? She feels sexy. She feels wanted. She feels heard. How does she ensure that I also feel these type of things? So once we had our child, when we went on vacation for the lustication, we really got to work. Like, this is what we're going to do every single day. Non-negotiables. So we can continue to connect with each other and continue to build a relationship that is healthy and that's going to last. One of the biggest misconceptions, right? People don't know what true love is. There's a difference between I'm in love with you and I love you. There's a difference between what true love really is. So you're currently in a 4 months relationship, right?
Right.
And that's public now. Now.
It is now.
Absolutely.
and we can talk about that, right?
Very proud and happy to be in this relationship.
Excellent. Right now, your brain is playing tricks on you. She can do nothing wrong. Your brain loves her so much. All of the endorphins are being released in your body. The butterflies are there when you see her. When she touches you, you feel like it's the greatest thing ever. That's going to last 2 to 3 years, right? Because you're entering the honeymoon phase, the I'm in love with you phase, right? Your blinders are on. When a red flag is present in front of you, well, I'm not saying you specifically, I'm speaking in general.
Yeah.
You're going to rationalize as to why that exists, and you're going to make an excuse for it, right? The red flags that you ignore today will be the red flags that will cause your divorce 10 years from now. But today, your blinders are on because I'm in love with you. Your brain is flooding you. It's new. Your brain likes that. You're engaging, you're touching, the passion is great. I'm sure the sex is amazing. You don't have to answer that.
I was going to say, don't put Shorty on blast. Respect our sex.
Don't have to answer that.
No, there's anything.
Yes. But 3 years later, 3 to 4 years later, these chemicals are no longer impacting you. Now, she's going to be talking too much. She's going to be too naggy. Or you're going to be too messy for her. Or your anger that she enjoyed because it made her feel protected, now it's going to make her feel threatened. So now you're going to see these red flags for real. Couples that get married within the I'm in love with you phase have the highest rate of divorce. Because once your brain is no longer doing these things, you're seeing the person for who they are. How do you act after having a hard day? Has she assessed that yet? When she's not in the mood, what does that look like? When she's don't want to deal with you, what does that look like? So if you didn't build those skill sets within the first 3 years, you're not going to make it past year 3 or 4 because you don't know how to talk.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
This is so absolutely accurate because my last relationship, I mean, down to the T, because I had learned that too, that the first 3 years, was the infatuation phase, the dopamine is going off.
Excellent.
Yeah, right. So I was aware of that, but because you're in it, you don't see it, right? A fish doesn't see water. So it's funny.
I like that, right?
It's funny how entering the 4th year of the relationship is when everything started falling apart.
Yes.
And it's crazy down to the T. What you're saying is so true because the very same red flags that I was ignoring were the exact same things that really caused me to not want to be in that relationship anymore.
Yes.
And on top of that, I want to ask you, right? I also learned that proximity is a huge contributor to longevity in a relationship. So just by you expressing it that way, that answers my question because one of the biggest things that was missing later, like towards the end of the relationship, the distance grew and she ended up moving back home to a different state.
Yeah.
And that was very detrimental. And I'm like you, I need physical touch.
Yeah.
I need, words of affirmation. I need those things.
Yes.
So I wasn't emotionally satisfied. And that's when everything started falling apart and like the veil was removed and I was able to see, highlight all the red flags.
Yes. Also, falling out of love is a stage that's going to lead to true love.
Right.
Because once the endorphins and the dopamine are no longer present, right, you're starting to see the shadow self, the part of themselves that the social world does not see, right? Because if you used to pick them up for a date, they look amazing. They smell great. The car was always clean. It smelled amazing. Now that you're living together, you realize they don't shower for 3 days, right? Now you see the shadow self, and then you have to determine, can I live with that? Is that something that I can work with? Because you get to see the true self, the full dimension of who they are. So falling out of love is going to happen, and that's normal. But a lot of couples are not aware of that. Now, if you can make it from the falling out of love, then you get true love. True love is, I know exactly who you are. I know that you like to do photo shoots with bikes with a whole bunch of dudes. And I'm okay with that and I'm comfortable with that. I know that you like your hair to be colorful. I love that about you. I may not like it, but I respect it. And I'm okay with it because that's who you are. I'm learning to love you for who you are. I've accepted everything about you. I'm not just looking at your potential, right, in hopes that you're going to become this person. No, I'm accepting you for who you are today and who you're going to be tomorrow. And I'm going to consistently work and do the necessary things to ensure that we're always connected and we always have that strong relationship.
I have a question.
Yes.
Also, if anybody wants to slide in my DM, say everything Mac just said.
You know what? Just a quick fact. I've had dudes slide in my DMs asking me
how to slide in someone's DM.
Correct.
Please go to Mac before you slide in my DMs.
Love it.
Please, y'all be embarrassing yourself.
Because it takes me back to where I was helping other people get whoever they wanted. So it's a nice brain teaser for me. What is your question?
When you had said like, I'm falling in love with who you are and not the potential that you have to be tomorrow, I feel like as Black women, we fall for I see the potential in the man. Like that's a trend with us. Like, oh, he has so much potential, his goals, his aspirations. Yeah. And then we get caught up and then we're like, oh, this was you this whole time.
Yes. Can you reach those goals? Like I can see your potential, but I don't know whether or not you're ever going to reach that. So if my love for you is based on your accomplishments, then what happens if you don't accomplish them?
Right. Love isn't there.
Exactly. This quarantine gave a lot of couples a reality check.
I feel like they got to know who their partner is.
It definitely
did. And they notice I don't like you.
Yeah.
I no longer can spend 8 hours at work and avoiding you. I actually have to sit in this one bedroom and have to deal with you. And I can't connect with you. We have nothing in common and we don't like each other. So what now?
I want to branch off his proximity question / topic. The majority of my relationships, at least the ones that are memorable, were long distance. So all we really could thrive off of was our communication until the next time we saw each other. Fast forward to now, this is the most consistent, the closest person I've ever lived with that I'm with. And the communication levels, like the desire for the communication is even more, I desire it even more consistently because I'm used to having to wait to be with the person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm like consistent self-sabotager. So I'm trying to fight.
That was my question. That was going to be my question to you.
Yeah.
Are you unconsciously sabotaging healthy relationships by continuously being with those that are long distance, knowing that it's not going to work?
I don't think the relationships themselves were an extension of my self-sabotage. My own personal issues bleed into that and then amplify that. But what I've noticed, and my girlfriend and I have these honest conversations, and I explained to her that sometimes I do desire more because I'm used to having less. And keeping that balance is kind of hard. So I was just curious, could you speak to that and maybe provide some advice? How do I maintain that balance of staying here in this relationship and the level of communication that I get versus the communication I'm used to getting?
That's excellent. That's an excellent question. But I'm just gonna take one step back in terms of the proximity.
Yeah.
Those that are in the Army, Navy, or the Air Force, usually their partner are not always faithful to them. The reason why, you're out there, right? And I'm seeing the mailman every day. The mailman's talking to me every day. We're connecting every day. So proximity matters because you start being attracted to what you have access to, right? So a lot of times, even though long-term relationships can work, but there's power in being present. If I need you, are you going to be there for me? Because the number one thing that women look for in a man is, are you trustworthy? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you going to show up when you say you're going to show up? Do I feel safe around you? Right? When do you open the door? That's a form of safety. That's a form of trust. If we have a date night for 6 o'clock and you show up at 6:10, can I really trust you? Right. All of these little things matter. Now, to your point, you're already doing what you need to do. You have such a healthy relationship that you can go to your partner and say, hey, I'm feeling this way right now. And this is why. How can we work together to solve that? A lot of times, like, people have this misconception that a therapist is going to give you the answer. I can't, because it's your relationship. But I can teach you how to communicate that in a healthy manner so it doesn't turn into a conflict, but it actually turns into a fruitful conversation, because you and your partner have the answer. You guys are going to agree on exactly what's going to work. So I'm sure when you went to her and you told her that, something was agreed upon around communication and how much can be provided to you. You guys are accommodating to each other's needs, right? You should never say no in a relationship ever. If your partner asks for something, you should never say no. Your mind should go to, how can I accommodate? Hey, babe, I would like for you to go to a party with me. But game 6 is on. It's the NBA Finals. I just worked all day. I want to sit down, hold my baby, and watch Giannis kick their ass. Right? I could say no, and I have a good reason to say no. But I'm going to say, how can I accommodate to you? I can't go for the full 4 hours, but I'll go for 2 hours, babe. Is that okay? Now she's moving from wanting me there for 4 hours to accepting me for 2 hours. And I'm moving from 0 hours to 2 hours, right? So we've accommodated to each other's need, and she no longer feel rejected. She actually feel accepted.
Because you're willing to make a compromise to give her what she's asking for.
Exactly. And she's also giving me what I'm asking for as well.
By not putting pressure on you to be there the whole time.
Correct. I actually stayed for all 4 hours because it was fun. And we was watching the game.
Like, the game was on.
Isn't that ironic?
That's the only reason why the game was on.
But you don't think there's accommodation and sacrifice are synonymous? Like, sometimes in relationships you have to shed certain parts of your personality to accommodate your partner, but with that can turn into resentment, I feel, in a way, because you're expecting me to show up as someone I'm not for you. So how do you avoid that?
But you said the keyword shed. Why are you shedding part of yourself? If you can't show up authentically, 100% of yourself, then this is not a safe space for you. Right?
Got you.
So by me going to the party, I could have sat at the corner all by myself and not engage. That would have pissed her off, actually. Right? But in reality, I engaged with everyone. I was my witty, humorous self that made unnecessary jokes and was very handsy, because that's who I am. Right? There's a difference between compromising and accommodating versus changing who you are. The minute this person likes you because of who you are. So when you start changing who you are, they are no longer going to like you. And you see that a lot when people are dating.
Because they advertise their best selves at first.
Yeah. But
that's so true.
If you think about it, right? Oh, I like him so much, or I like her so much. So let me change myself so he can like me as well. Let me try to do certain things or be someone to get them to like me as well, right? That's called you're over investing. In the dating phase, we need to invest as much as the other person is investing, right? Why am I giving you access to me 24/7 when you're the one that picks of when I get access to you? I'm over investing, and now you have the power and you can break my heart, versus me recognizing that, putting the necessary boundaries, having the tough conversation. Hey, I would like to spend more time with you, versus receiving texts at 2 a.m. saying, hey, big head. Right? We got to be able to say, that's not what I want. And if that's what you want, okay, cool. Here's the boundaries around that.
Can I say one thing? Two things.
Talk to me.
First off, I kept my headscarf on because you like to take my edges a lot, and I don't feel like looking like a bald scallywag on camera. Thanks. Second of all, I feel like I haven't even realized it's only been like a year we've known each other.
Yeah, we've worked together for 7 months now.
And the year of knowing you, hearing that feedback, it's like every time he speaks about something, it hits like to my core, like OD hard. And now I've even started adopting that. Like, I can recognize game. I was talking to this guy and we were on FaceTime and I was making a joke like, oh, when you going to take me on a date? And he was like, what'd you say? My service. Oh, okay. Say less. First off, I don't even like dates, but since that's your response, normally I would do the key back and forth. I was like, oh, we can actually stop speaking right here.
Yeah, because you're not about to overinvest. Because I've made that mistake too, overinvesting in people, especially early when you first meet them, because maybe the chemistry might be really good. And like,
I hate that word, chemistry.
Chemistry, you don't like
it's not true.
It's not true.
No.
Then what do you call it?
They felt familiar to you. Something about them made you feel like you were around your family. It was familiar. The vibes, the energy, something about them was very familiar to you.
Or even one part of them is something you just really been wanting, and they show that more consistently than what you probably need.
Yes.
That's what I think it is.
That's why you would hear, I keep dating the same type of guys or women.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. You know why? Because that type of people is familiar to you. Something about them, you recognize it. It makes you feel comfortable. It puts you in your comfort zone, right?
But just because it's familiar don't mean it's good.
It's usually not good.
Right.
Right. So you need to learn to make the unfamiliar familiar.
Damn, that's true.
Right. A lot of people that have been in toxic relationships continue that for a very long time because, again, that's familiar to them. So when they actually find someone, that's unfamiliar, but that has all of the healthy things that they're looking for, they don't want that because it's different. I'm not used to that. That's going to put me outside of my comfort zone. I'm not okay with that.
I don't know if it's they don't want it or they don't know how to have it.
Yes. Something about that feels unsafe because it's going to challenge me to my core, even though that's what I want. I have not done the work to make this familiar to me. Right. So I have a few female clients that have dated narcissists.
Hi.
And managed to escape. And the word escape is significant because usually it's really hard to leave a narcissist due to the mental psychological warfare. Yes, that also means you might have a predisposition to date a narcissist. So we got some.
It's fine.
Yeah, I got you.
We cleaned them up already.
Okay, yeah, excellent. So now the work becomes is how can I make you feel? How can I make healthy relationships familiar to you? Because wherever you go, unconsciously you're gonna choose the narcissist because that's what's familiar to you. That's what you know, right? So now is I need you to multi-date. Not just one person. I need you to date five to 10 people.
Yes.
So you can see the spectrum of difference. So you don't become overly invested into the narcissist because I know for a fact one of them is going to be a narcissist. And that's the one you're going to be most drawn to.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So it is healthy when you're dating to date more than one person at a time. To understand the difference. Because like, I feel like that's what I'm not saying
so I could fuck around.
I'm not saying you gotta have sex with everybody. Not everything's about sex, right? Dating is about understanding and learning people. So sometimes, like you said, you need to compare and contrast the spectrum of different types of people.
Yes.
Because then you realize what's familiar and what do I really need.
Yes.
Because what I was doing subconsciously, because I've been single for 2 years now, and I've been doing a lot of dating. Obviously, it hasn't gone well because I'm still single. And I kept being attracted to the quote unquote mean girl, the non-emotional type.
Because you like how they treat you unconsciously.
I don't know why.
The dating world
He's about to.
was created for men by men. The dating world was created for men to thrive. It was never created for women to thrive. So, which is why when women do the similar things that men would do while dating, they will be called all type of names. Right?
Unfortunately.
Because you're not supposed to be to play by these rules, because these rules are not for you. Every woman and every man should be multi-dating.
I agree.
Period.
I agree.
If you're dating one person, again, your blinders are on and your brain is playing tricks on you as well. Right? And you become overly invested and you're too attached. Because if this person is giving you the attention that you require, when they are upset at you and you're not getting it, you feel unloved, unwanted.
Is that what you did prior to marrying your
my wife?
Yeah.
I was dating prior to her, but I knew I needed her. I knew she was the one for me, right? And I hate saying that because, soulmates do not exist, but she brought a different aspect to me. I wouldn't be who I am today without her.
So how can you tell people to how they're feeling and if they're overly invested or doing too much, et cetera, if they may be feeling what you felt, like having that discernment? How do you gain that discernment to know when you're doing too much and it's time to keep experiencing new people versus when it's the one?
Great question. There's no such thing as the one. That does not exist. Soulmates do not exist. It's a myth.
Thank you.
There's millions of people out there, so there's multiple ones, right? If you're dating someone and you don't feel comfortable, secure, wanted, and you're being chastised, right? Think of the power of absence. If I'm not with you, how am I feeling? Am I worried? Am I checking your social media nonstop? Am I crying? Or am I secure in my position that I can sleep at night knowing that everything is fine, right? There's multiple ones. So there's not just one person out there for you. The key is, can you make that relationship work? I chose her and she chose me and we chose to make it work. I personally believe that I could make any relationship work that I desire because I have the knowledge and I have the skills, right? If I didn't have my training in therapy and relationships, we would not be here today.
I get it.
That's a fact. I would have been running the streets, bruh. Because that's who I was.
Right.
My boys, that's what they did.
Yeah.
And now when I see them, they're like, bro, you got a good one. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know.
You earned it.
We earned it for each other because
It's teamwork.
she was dating.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I had to beat out those guys. Right? And now I'll check their social media here and there and double tap real quick to remind them who the winner is.
Hey, you definitely a Leo.
I like it.
He's definitely a Leo.
He's so mean. You're like, how old are you?
I'm turning 30, man.
Wow, you're like my older brother.
My back is hurting. My knees. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Oh man, you have your whole life in front of you.
Yeah.
Really? In that 2-year difference, you think?
I mean, I thought it's added.
If you really think about it, right, your early 20s is when you make a lot of mistakes.
It's your
Tell me
sophomore year
about
of
it.
life.
Right? Your financial
freshman year,
mistakes,
like-
right? That usually happens then. I bought my car right after I graduated with my master's because that's what you're supposed to do.
Treat yourself.
I have money.
Right.
Worst financial decision I ever made in my life. I feel like once you're 25, 27, that's when you realize the mistakes that you've made in life. Then from your 28 to your 30s, you're correcting that. Right? Now you're thinking more of investments. You're paying more attention to your credit. You're paying more attention to what you consume mentally, physically, emotionally. Now you actually crave real substantial relationships, right? You want to nurture your inner world and your outer world.
It's like you know me already.
Right?
Most black men tell me this.
Oh, man.
But after your 30s, man, that's when you really start living.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I've heard
I'm
that.
almost there.
I
Almost
knew
turning
it.
30 soon.
That's
so.
why I'm
I
trying to
look
hold on.
forward to my 50s. My 50s,
Nah,
man.
you're gonna be fucking Yoda of a fucking relationship with therapy.
Bro, listen, I told myself when I'm 50, I'm walking into a dealership and I'm buying a Maserati because that's a car that I really want. And that's a car that I wanted to get. But I know financially, based on my goals, I can't do that right now. But I know for a fact when I'm 50, that's exactly what I'm doing.
What are your goals besides like the selfless ones? Are there like any goals that are tangible you're trying to reach towards?
Yes, I want to decrease the divorce rate.
Specifically within
Black couples.
Yeah.
I am tired of single parent households.
Facts.
Because that puts us at a disadvantage. When a father is not present in a child's life, they are two times likely to end up in jail or have a record, 5 times more likely to commit suicide, and 3 times more likely to have behavioral issues in school. When they are present, higher IQ, higher emotional intelligence, they do better in life, they have better success long term. So my goal is to really work with Black couples and give them that foundation. Because if you really think about it, we have been, Black men have strategically been removed from the community. From slavery, mass incarceration. Now we're dealing with police brutality. Let's remove these Black men out of here. Right? Let's allow these children to grow up without a father figure.
And then they dismantle the Black family.
Exactly.
And then dismantles our community.
Exactly. Let's let them go to the streets instead. They're going to end up in jail and work for 25 cents. Versus the father and the mother are present. They're providing an emotional foundation for these individuals to accomplish what they need to accomplish. Right? But the change starts with us. We are the generation that's going to change that because we know better. We have access to that information, and we have platforms like this where we can have these type of conversations. So that's really my biggest goal in life.
I definitely fall under the behavioral issues in school with no father around.
Yeah.
Luckily, no record. You got a record?
No.
Okay.
Asshole.
Just making sure. When trying to get to know my friend.
Yeah. When teachers say, well, your child is acting out, what does acting out really mean?
Not aligning themselves with the rules that they set.
Okay. If I ask you to act out, what am I asking you to do?
To act out of the norm.
To demonstrate your emotions and your feelings, right? 1, 2, 3, action. These are the words, these are the emotions, act them out, right? So when you were in school and you were acting out, you were trying to convey something that you didn't have the language for, right? You were trying to tell us something, tell everybody something, but no one was listening, or I'm not going to put it on, or didn't have the knowledge to decipher what you were trying to say, right? We're doing a lot of talk about trauma, and it bothers me. A lot of clinical terms are being used in everyday language without us being aware of the weight that it carries. Saying I'm depressed, that's heavy. Versus right now, I'm not feeling my best. That's lighter. Don't use depression because you haven't been assessed to know if that's exactly what's going on.
Not clinically diagnosed.
Right? Those terms have powers. They make you feel different. I'm depressed. You're gonna feel depressed. I'm not feeling my best, or I'm sad right now, or I'm in a funk right now, or I'm burned out right now, right? There's a difference. And again, with trauma, like, hey, he did this. Well, that's a trauma response. Hey, that's trauma bonding. It's become so norm to just blur that out versus really knowing the knowledge. You can be shot at, and I can be shot at. It may not be a traumatic experience for you, but might be a traumatic experience for me, depending on the response. You're a Lyft driver, right? So you're driving, and a car's about to hit you, and you evade and hit a pole. Oh my God, you just saved my life. Thank you. How do you feel?
I feel like, damn, my car's fucked up.
Yes, but apart from that, do you feel heavy?
This is his car.
I do. I'm like, oh shit, I almost died.
Okay. So now example 2. Same thing again. I say, yo, what the hell's wrong with you? You almost killed us.
Oh.
You may never drive again.
Yeah, you're right.
Just based on the response that I gave you, I made this a traumatic experience for you.
I get what you're saying.
Versus, hey, oh my God, you saved my life. Thank you. That was very close, but good job. Right? So we need to be very, very careful of how we're using this clinical terms We need to define them, and we need to leave them to those that know what they're talking about.
So the way the mental health is communicated in mass media, it irks you. Like even the way Meek Mill tweeted, therapy should be cool in the Black community or something like that. Like, how did you feel seeing or hearing about that?
Meek Mill, the second track on his last album, Championship, was the title was Trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And what was amazing to me, like I didn't have a problem with his tweet. It's how everybody responded to it. People took it personal. Therapists took it personal.
Really?
Yeah, they were like, I'm cool and I do therapy. So I was not cool.
Oh.
Like, what? How did this become about you? Right? Oh yeah, we all need to work together to make it cool. That's his opinion. Why are we looking for validation from rappers or for whoever as to why we do what we do and how good we really are? I don't even like the word cool. It's therapy should be accessible to the Black community.
My first question is Meek Mill in therapy? Because if he's trying to be an advocate through his tweet, shouldn't he be doing it in real life as well?
Well, I'm
do the work.
I think he has done some or something like that.
It might have been mandated.
Yeah. But my thing is, let's not make it cool. Let's make it a requirement. The same way we go get a physical yearly, right? Let's go get a mental health evaluation yearly as well. Let's go get a checkup on the health of our relationship. Let's see how we really are doing. A lot of people want to go to therapy. They can afford it, or the insurance won't pay for it, or they don't have time because they have to work 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet. So let's not make it cool. Let's make it accessible. Let's put it in all of the communities that are in need of it, right? Let's remove the stigma away from it. Let's talk about it even more. I don't care about it being cool, right? If you think about it, the coolest things are not the best things for us.
Right.
Jordans are cool, but they cost like $250 to $300. Some people will not eat for a week to buy a pair of Jordans because they want to be cool.
Right.
Right? I don't want people that want to be cool to just go to therapy because that's a cool thing to do. I want to work with those that actually want to do the work.
Is what you're saying reflected in your services? Are your prices affordable? And how do you balance that? Like trying to maintain your selfless goal while still making a living?
Excellent. The term affordable is subjective.
Subjective, yeah, for sure.
Right. But here's what I do, right? I have a number of slots that I offer at a discounted rate. You're a college student, you will not be paying my full fee. Based on your income, I may qualify you for lower rate. And I also accept a multitude of insurance. Right? And if we talk and I feel like you cannot afford me, I can refer you to others whose price may be in your price range. Right? Because at the end of the day, we have to make a living as well.
Yes.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
Working with 2 different personalities, and my sessions are 90 minutes long. Because in 45 minutes, you can really do couples work. It's 90 minutes long. So, yeah.
You only work with couples, or do you do individuals?
I do work with individuals in terms of depression, anxiety, self-esteem, and all these type of things. But personally, what I get a kick out of, what I truly enjoy, what I did my extra training in is in couples. I love couples. I love love. I love helping Black men put their emotions into word. I love teaching them how to communicate effectively and clearly so that their partners can respond to them appropriately. I love creating a space where we can all be safe and feel free to communicate about every single thing. So we are no longer taking out our lives. We are no longer acting out or finding other ways to heal ourselves.
Do you have a history with depression / anxiety? And if so, how did you fight through them or learn to deal with them? I mean, I know you probably charge for answers to questions like this, but
that's okay.
Just for some listening, for those listening, like what were some techniques that you used to heal if you needed to?
So for me, in terms of depression, I tend to usually take a holistic approach. Right.
My therapist just told me to do that.
Right. Like let's focus on what we consume. in terms of food, drinks, what we're watching, what we're engaging in, right? Let's work out. I'm heavy in the gym. I mean, the pandemic body, lost 40 pounds this year.
I wasn't going to say nothing, but
we almost there. Yeah. We are almost there. But again, like, it's being aware of that and getting the necessary help. This is the first time in life where I've hired a personal trainer. Becoming a father and having more couples to be present for. I no longer had the mental space to write out my own programs or just follow a program. I needed someone to kick my ass in the gym. And that's what I did. In terms of anxiety, since I became a father, man, my parental paranoia and anxiety is at an all-time high. If my daughter's on this couch, I've thought of 10 ways she's going to die. Right? She's going to hit her head right there. Then she's going to bounce on this. Then it's going to split in two. Then my wife's going to look at me. She's going to smack me. Then she's going to call her mom. She's going to yell at me. It's crazy.
Right.
Like, I would get up every hour. Is she breathing? Checking on her. She had a fever when she was about 5 months. For 3 days. For 3 days, she slept on my belly all day. I needed to feel her body heat decrease as time went on. Right, like being a father is a game changer, man. Every third Saturday of the month, I cry. I'm so emotional nowadays. My testosterone has dropped and my estrogen has increased, which is allowing me to be a better parent because I'm more in tune with my daughter's emotional needs. Right, that's why you see the biggest gangster having a tea party with his children or his daughter. Because the testosterone drops and the estrogen increases at that time period. That's also a biological difference between male and women. So I always tell women, date an older male, right? When your testosterone is higher, you're less emotional. Not purposely, it's just
natural,
biologically,
yeah.
Right? And there's nothing that you can do about that. Your sex drive is higher. You're more manly. You're more alpha. You're more aggressive.
Stop using me as an example.
and you're just less emotional. Most women will tell you that, oh my God, my relationship is perfect when they're dating an older male where this testosterone is lower. They're holding hands, they want to cuddle more, they're more emotional, and etc.
Interesting.
Right?
Because I've heard women in my life who are my friends tell me that their experience with older men has been just as bad as dealing with someone who's the same age as them because the mentality.
They're stuck in their ways.
Yeah. The mentality between the two of them and the age difference kind of, it's just, it causes a disconnect. But I guess you're just speaking from a biological perspective.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like my relationship will be at its best when I'm around like 45 and 50. And that's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to that. Like if we're this good now, picture when I have less testosterone. It's going to be excellent.
You're extremely fascinating. I just don't understand. Like, it seems like you've obviously had to grow and experience a lot to get to this point, but it seems like you've kind of always had this in you. Like, was there like a moment specifically that was like a light switch that like shifted your mentality and your view and of the world and relationships and even yourself? Like, was there a specific moment you can call back to?
I've never been asked this question before. I don't feel like it's due to my experiences. I feel like it's due to the knowledge that I gain access to. Yeah. If you're thinking in terms of financial literacy, if we're never taught that, we'll never do better because we're not aware of what you could do with your money, how to make it grow, and etc. So as I did a deep dive into relationships, right? Once I mastered on how to work with a couple, communication skills, conflict, and things like that, then I went into the biological difference between male and female. So now I've literally done a lot of research on the brain, on the hormones. So I'm getting more information. When I found out my wife was pregnant and I'm raising a daughter, I bought a book about how to heal your relationship after having a child. Like I'm always doing the preventive work. Now I've done a deep dive into affair recovery, right? Because a lot of couples, affair has taken place and they want to be together. How do we rebuild that? Right? I don't want you to come to me and I'm guessing. I don't want to guess when it comes to your relationship. Choosing a partner will be the biggest decision you'll ever make in life.
Facts.
I don't want to guess. Right? So I've acquired that knowledge. Now I've done couples addiction recovery. Now I've done trauma, how to heal trauma in a relationship. Right? So every year I ask myself, what other knowledge can I acquire to help me strengthen my skills around relationships as a whole? So as I gain more knowledge, I take it to my wife. I'll take her to trainings with me. Like, let's do this together. It's about relationships, right? And she's very intelligent. Let's do this together. Let's read this book together, right? So I'm always trying to gain knowledge to change my perspective in life. I'm always talking to people. If you're older than me, I want to hear your story. I will ask you for advice. I want to hear your perspective. If you're younger, I still want to talk to you because there's something that I can always learn. And again, I challenge everything since a child, right? I told you, if the customs is you're a child, you're supposed to listen to every grown up, call everybody uncle, cousin, tonton, matant. I never did that. I challenge everything. So if you tell me this is like this because of this, I need to understand why. All right. So when a couple comes in front of me, I can treat them because I have the foundational work and I know how to engage them. Best part of my job is having a couple argue for 10 minutes straight. It's the most amazing thing ever.
Does your line of questioning lead them down that path?
No.
Are you doing that to see what their conflict resolution style is?
Yes. It's part of the assessment. Okay, guys, now it's time where we do my favorite part of this assessment. I need you guys to reenact your last argument for 10 minutes. Usually they argue about not knowing what to argue about.
Yeah.
Or they're walking arguing. Oh my God, I love those. They're walking arguing. I need to listen to the first 30 seconds of a 3-minute argument to know if your relationship is going to make it or not. I can tell the health of your relationship by asking you about 5 questions. Right? So even though it's a 90-minute session, I get most of everything that I need very quickly. I can go to dinner, sit next to a couple, hear them argue for 30 seconds and be able to predict what's going to happen next. Are they on a first date? Is he or she having an affair? Or do they have children? Like all of that, like people reading. I love that. People watching, I should say. Because again, relationships is a science. There's a science to everything that we do, right? So as you gain the knowledge and you gain the power, you become free of the conditioning that society has done on us. I myself, right, when I first was dating my wife, Gucci this, Louis that, and all of that. And I felt like you should pick me just because I have all of these things. Or I'm successful. I needed to drive this car because I have a master's, right? If I'm going to post a photo, let me pull my chain out. Let me do this and do that to show I have wealth. I've unconditioned myself from all of these things. Bruh, I'm about to buy a Kia, a SUV. I started at a Beamer, and now I'm going to a Kia. Do you know how much ego work that I needed to do to even accept that?
Yeah, the one word that keeps flowing through my brain throughout this entire conversation is unlearning. Like it seemed like you had to do a lot of that.
Oh yes,
to then have a lot more space in your subconscious and your mind for.
We are not primed for relationships. We learn how to drive. We study before we take a test. We have to pass certain classes or certain tests before we get a certain title. But for some reason, we feel like we're ready for relationships with no prior knowledge.
No type of training.
No type of training whatsoever.
Yeah. I feel like that should start as early as high school. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we should be learning about, we have sex ed, right? We're learning about sex and the biology of relationships, but we're not learning about the emotional aspect of the psychological aspect of it.
Since we're on sex, a lot of males, we learn sex through porn.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
we have this idea. That's what our women want, for us to just be a jackrabbit.
Why do you guys say just males? Women learn too.
Ah,
true.
This is why it's important to have
Skittles. Kind of porn you might.
So what have you learned about porn? Like,
right. I feel like the kind of porn a woman would be watching would not be what a man is watching, right? Because most performers are catering to a male audience. they will over exaggerate and things like that.
Correct. But we can also watch it and be like, okay, sis, like that's not real.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that we're not watching.
You look at the angle, it touches up right now.
Like, they could do that, right? That leg can go there.
Yeah. So that's something that I also had to unlearn. Right. What it means to be a lover. It's not how long you last. Is what you can do within that time frame. It's how you can please her mind, her body, and her soul. Right. The foreplay doesn't start at the bedroom.
Nope.
It's a 24-hour process. It's everything that you do right within a 24-hour period. Right. From helping with this, talking, connecting,
opening
all
the door.
of that.
Yeah.
Right. But us males, we become very comfortable when we've been in a long-term relationship, right? We just flip over and feel like we should have access. Deval, on his podcast with his wife, he was saying, why do women ask for monogamy when sex is a chore for them? But
Who said sex is a chore for women?
Deval stated, you want a monogamous relationship, but eventually it's going to turn into a chore for you because you don't want to have as much sex as the man wants. He went
I feel like
viral.
that's a misconception.
He went viral for that. But to some degree, when a woman has been in a long-term relationship, her desire for sex drops because the male no longer engage in the behaviors that she needs for her to feel wanted, desired, and connected emotionally. Right? To master a woman's body, you must first master her mind. You must first master how she perceives her body.
Yes.
Right? So if I go to work all day and she's at home, she's taking care of the children and she's working, I'm not helping as much and she feels alone. So when I want sex, she want nothing to do with me because she felt rejected and not cared for all day.
Yeah.
So doesn't that tie into the fact that it's a misconception then? Because it means that you guys are dropping the ball if our sex drive is dropping.
100%. But that's not how it was communicated because I don't want to say to the lack of knowledge, but that's what it comes down to. Because I know this. Right, because I had to learn this.
Yeah.
Right, the longer a woman is in a relationship, sex drive is going to drop because we're no longer engaging in the passion and romance. Sorry. When a man is dating a woman, he does everything. Flowers, phone calls, this, that, dinner, presents. 10 years in, he ain't doing these things no more. Not as consistently. Right? He may still be doing things on the big holidays, but not as consistently. So therefore, her response is also not going to be as consistent as it used to be.
Right.
But we don't take accountability for that at all. Because society has created this mindset that just because you're married, you should have access to your partner's body 24/7. It's expected, but it's not practical. Because she could just be going through the motions with you just to go through it.
Right. What's lost in translation is that one of the best pieces of advice I've ever given is like date your partner still. Like continue to date, continue to
courting,
build that friendship. Like
don't stop courting.
Yeah, don't stop courting. Like because then that's how you keep the variety and the spice alive. Like
yes.
And something Joe Rogan said one time on YouTube, he was just saying like I know, but he was saying like, you know, also like don't have sex every day.
Why not?
Miss it. That's what he was saying though, right? Miss it though, right? Because there's some people who probably like, depends on your own personal sex drive and it's subjective. Right. But one thing he was saying, because like a lot of times I think, you know, the honeymoon phase, people were having a whole lot of sex. And then
first 3 years, yeah.
Right. And then eventually it starts slowing down because of what you said, work's not being done to keep the romance up there. But I also feel like maybe in certain situations, it's just like, damn, like, are we not going to make it, you know, make me miss it, make me want it more? Like, you know, properly teasing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but that doesn't require the absence of sex. That requires foreplay. That requires intention. That requires accountability. Right? From sending a photo, sending some flirty text.
Nudes.
Yeah.
Right?
Nudes
Jumping you in the shower.
Nudes were important.
Bending you over
random
while you make dinner. Right? There's so many things that we can do to keep that fire going. Right. And something else that couples don't realize, you need space.
Yes.
The space fuels the desire. Right. I'm going to develop new eyes for you by you engaging in different things. When couples say, hey, we grew apart, that's the biggest lie ever. There's no such thing. What you're really saying is that my partner was growing outside of my comfort zone, and I was too insecure to be part of the process with her. So I remained in my comfort zone and asked her, why are you changing and growing as a person versus remaining the same? Because the same has been beneficial to me so far, and I'm okay with that.
Keeping your individuality intact is, I think, is key to a successful relationship.
Yes.
You have to still have your own life.
Yes, go take that salsa class.
Yeah.
And then I come to the recital and see how your hips move and be like, yeah, we're going to try that tonight.
But it's hard to speak to someone who's like, who leads with their emotions. It's like, what? I want to be with you all the time. I miss you all the time. But it's like balancing your logic and your emotions is also key to a successful relationship.
And that also speaks to an anxious attachment.
Yeah.
Because I have a fear that if I'm not around you, I don't feel complete or I don't feel safe.
So then who would be wrong in those situations? The person that walked away because they can no longer feel smothered, or the person that's having that attachment style?
Both. Because at that time period, that's when we come to the table and use our effective communication skills to have a conversation about this. So you can tell me how you feel and I can understand it and see your perspective, and I can state my part, and then we can reach a compromise. Right? So the need for you to be with me 24/7, what is that rooted in? Well, my dad left at 9, said he was going to come back. He never came back. Right? Or the last time I was apart from my ex, he cheated on me. So unconsciously, I felt the need to always be around you. Or my friends moved on from me because I haven't been present for them. So when you leave, I have nobody else around. So I'm not going to say that or take accountability for that and rebuild these relationships. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you my best friend, my girlfriend, my gym partner, my this, my that, my this, blah, 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 blah. Your partner has one job, and that's to be your partner, not everything else. You need a community to be happy. Maintain your friendships.
Yes.
Maintain your social interactions. Chase your dreams.
Yeah.
Go after everything that you've always wanted to accomplish. Don't ever let your individuality turn into your relationship identity. Don't just be a missus. Jay-Z and Beyonce, performers. She goes on tour by herself. Sometimes she's not even with Jay.
Right.
She does what she wants to do. She enjoys what she does. Right? And Jay will come sometimes and be a part of it, or will be watching her. Like, I'm so proud of you. I had a couple where the male told the woman, I don't feel like you're proud of me. And she was like, what have you accomplished?
Oh, God. That's real.
Since we got together, your drive to become greater has stopped. You always want to be around me and tag along for everything. You're proud of me, and I appreciate that, but you haven't given me anything to be proud of. Are you proud of yourself? Like, you know what? You're right, I'm not.
That's so fucking real.
All it takes is those few words to like adjust the cogs in your brain and reset. That's crazy. But like, wow.
That's a high level of transparency too.
But it's true.
Facts.
Well, that's because of the space.
Words.
I think that the therapeutic space is very safe for that. It allows that. So
yes, but it's very true, right? I want my partner to play all of these roles, and when he can't fulfill one, I feel neglected or not valued. That's unfair. That's too much responsibility for one person.
Yeah,
I'm not your girlfriend. We can have some conversation to some degree, but you still need your girlfriends. You still need to have your vacation with them, have your fun with them. Go to brunch, go get drunk and come back to me. I would prefer that. We don't always have to go together. And the space allowed the desire to go. Now I'm missing you. Now I'm wanting you more, right? When you were that dressed to go out with your guys, I'm like, girl, where you think you going looking all fine and shit? Right? Matter of fact, don't take a Uber. I'm going to come pick you up.
Right.
Then we're going to park right in the driveway and I'm going to take that dress off of you. Right? So there's so many things that we allow our comfort zone to remove from the relationship.
What piece of advice would you give to that same couple who had that exchange? Like, if they were in a safe therapeutic space, that transparency would have been heard different. So how do you create that space to where the language is digestible, but still truthful? And because honesty, the perception of honesty and how people hear it, it cuts deep sometimes.
Correct.
So how do you create that space outside of a therapeutic space? Is what I'm saying.
So again, when you're when you're having a tough conversation, you need to avoid 3 words. You, never, always. You never do this. You always do this. The minute you say that, you're blaming, right? You're selfish. You don't care about me. Well, 3 weeks ago, I did this for you, so I'm not selfish, right? It becomes on a back and forth. I attack you, and it's human nature for you to defend yourself. The worst relationship advice is we need to listen to understand and not listen to reply. It's a bogus and it's a lie. If you ever hear that, you walk away. You ask for your money back and you walk away and you tell them, talk to Mac told you. That's not true. If I walked up to you and smacked the hell out of you, what would you do?
Smack you back.
You know why?
Gang.
Defense.
Yes, because I attacked you.
Yes.
If I attacked you verbally, what would you do?
Attack. I would defend myself.
Yes.
And probably attack back.
Yes. That's human nature. I'm talking to a person, not a robot. A lot of relationship advice has been given as if we're robots. We're monolithic. It's not true. Right? So how can I ask you, well, you're just replying, you're not listening to understand when I'm criticizing you. You can't. Your brain is going into a defensive mindset versus saying, hey, lately I've been feeling neglected. You've been working really, really hard, and I appreciate that as you're trying to help the family. But I just miss you. I miss the friendship. I miss spending time with you. I miss my best friend. Can we drop off the kids at grandma's house and spend the next 2 days just watching movies and just having some fun? Matter of fact, I'm going to order you a dress and I'm going to take you to dinner where we can just be there by ourselves.
Order my dress.
Is that okay?
Again, anyone who wants to say that in my DMs, they're open.
Right?
Open.
So technically, I'm conveying the same feelings as you're selfish and you don't care about me because I don't feel cared for right now.
But what if it isn't met with like, yeah, we can do that?
There is no way that you would respond negatively to what I just said. Because I didn't attack you. I used an I statement and I didn't make it about you and said that you did something wrong. I spoke to what I am in need of currently. I miss you. I miss spending time with you. I feel unappreciated and unwanted. So the minute I start saying that, you start to get in your emotional bag as well. You start to identify with my feelings because I'm not attacking you. So more than likely, usually, right? The way you start a conversation is exactly how the conversation is going to end 96% of the time. So I have a 96% chance you're going to respond to this positively because I started it positively. So now, if we go back to my example to you, you're selfish, you don't care about me, I'm attacking you. That's already negative. So 96% of the time, it's going to end up negatively, right? Because couples have a tendency to globalize, not localize. You remember when you did this last week or 3 years ago when you did that? Now we're having 20 different conversations versus how I'm really feeling, right? And it also takes an emotionally intelligent person to take time and take inventory of themselves to understand how they are feeling right now. It's easier to attack you versus going deep into myself and saying, I feel neglected. You know how powerful that is? I feel neglected, but you also know how scary that is, right? Toxic relationships begin when we weaponize our wounds. Whatever we've gone through in life, where there are trauma, we lead with that. You're selfish. You don't care about me because I'm feeling neglected. So I'm not getting what I want versus telling you I'm not getting what I want right now. I'm going to attack you. So I'm weaponizing my wounds. That's going to lead to a toxic conversation, a toxic relationship. Now, the way I talk to her, I led with compassion. I removed the armor. I came to her with my wounds and showed her, hey, this is where I've been stabbed at. Help me heal it. Versus I take off my weapon at you and I'm shooting at you and then being upset that you're shooting back. Do you feel me?
I do. My last question for you is if you could take a second to create a space for yourself where you're having a session with yourself, what are some things that you would think you would say to yourself or advice you would give to yourself, or some things you would tell yourself that you feel like you need to work on, or continue to do or do less of to maintain this healthy mind state that you're in?
My mentor did that to me 2 days ago, and I ran out the room.
Well, we got bodyguards over here, so can't run out.
The way she disarmed me and literally took a mirror and put it in front of me, I was like, God damn. Bro, I ran out the room. I wasn't ready for that. And what she said to me, which is something that you've also hinted at, is that I'm comfortable taking space within my people, within space that are curated for people like us. But when I can gain access to other spaces where I'm the minority, I tend to shy away from that. Right? Not because, well, to some degree, I feel like, damn, they may not identify with me as well, or just whatever I have to say may not hit the same way, or that's not a space for me. So it's what
be misunderstood,
right?
Yeah.
Versus, no, be who you are in those spaces as well, because you're so powerful with everything that you have to say, and you have so much knowledge that you need everyone to hear it, and you should never shrink depending on who the audience is. Bro, I ran out the room because I've had opportunities to do just that. And I have not responded. I haven't done what I'm supposed to do, even though I know I want these spaces, right? Because that puts me in a different tier. And I know that I belong there. But just because I know who's there, I'm not as comfortable. I'm not sure if that's making sense.
No, it makes total sense.
It definitely does. And I can see why you ran out.
Yeah.
And it's spark in your manager's ear. I'm like, don't make me hack into your email and see what opportunities are sitting there on unread.
They in my DMs. They've been there for 3 months.
I will hack
Hey,
your
we
phone.
need this. We would love to work with you on this. I'm like, great. I got you. Email tomorrow. It's been 3 months. No email.
No, tell them to email me. I don't like this. Because I'll just put some time on your calendar and be like, show up and wear this.
Man, when she said that, I was like, that is so true. But I wasn't even aware that I was doing that.
You're subconscious.
Right. That's why you need to have people around you that can tell you the truth and that are not just yes men.
You're being objective.
She had me do certain podcasts that I fought her on. But it became the best decision I made in life. Because afterwards, my trajectory, through the roof. Now I have access to certain individuals that I never thought of. I wanted to do television. She's like, nah, we're going to dominate the podcast scene. Now, in hindsight, I would prefer a 3-hour conversation with my people versus a 4-minute segment on some TV show that no one is watching. Right? I've redefined what success means to me as a therapist. Whatever was being done, I'm doing the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Thanks to her. I needed someone that's going to think outside of the box, get me outside of my comfort zone. First podcast, bro, I barely spoke.
I couldn't tell today.
Right? I barely spoke. I had wine. I had a shot. I'm like, damn. I was texting her, are you here yet? I'm uncomfortable. This and all of that. But again, that was part of the training. Even though I knew I had the knowledge, my delivery needs to be worked on.
Thanks.
So you do notice that I stutter, right? Here and there. I've been working with a speaking coach, like a speech therapist, because I know my goals.
And you did that early on. You did that from the beginning. I didn't say anything.
Yeah, because I know where I'm trying to get to, and I know how to show up for that. Right? I know that when I'm working out and when I'm more physically fit, I'm also more physically fit, more mentally fit. I can do more things. I have more energy. I'm less lazy. So my trainer just sent me this meal plan. I called him and I cussed him out. Like, what the hell? I went in, but I've been following it straight. Okay. I had to get uncomfortable. I have to build certain rituals, certain discipline, right? A lot of us are not disciplined enough to be in a monogamous, committed relationship. And it shows up in different aspects of our life.
One thing I want to say that I heard recently, that discipline is doing what you're supposed to do, even when
motivation.
even when you don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's why motivational speeches are so popular, because they give you that short burst of energy. But what happens when that's gone?
Right. Who's keeping you in line?
Exactly.
Who's keeping you accountable?
Right. So when you did the podcast with your trainer and you guys spoke on your relationship with food, how you had to gain that discipline, how you had to run 20 miles. You said a day. I don't think you ran 20 miles.
No, it was 70 minutes a day. It was like almost 10.
Exactly, right? So building that discipline so you can get to a goal that you may have not been able to get to by yourself, right? And that discipline has carried out through all of your business ventures. Because once you got better mentally and physically, you were more sharp in everything else.
And I was paying less attention to that like focal area of my life that was no longer a distraction. Like there's nothing I need to worry about. This is where my focus is.
Yes. And now you can show up and be yourself because you're not even thinking of, oh my God, this angle does not work for me, or etc. And yes, we do talk about body image a lot, saying, you know, we're in a diet culture. I understand that. But I also want to look good naked. Right. When I go to the beach and I take off my shirt, I want to be proud of that. I have a wife. She's sexy as fuck. I look at her, I'm like, damn.
Gotta match that.
Right?
Fact.
Exactly. When we get into relationships, we become very comfortable. And at times that contributes to the lack of health in the relationship. Because you can be, again, your endorphins are not, and your dopamine are not hitting you as much. Right? That je ne sais quoi, it's not the same no more.
Yeah, but like in the early stages of a relationship, you know, you're telling each other everything under the sun. Like, I love you, I'll always love you, I love everything about you. And that seeps into our subconscious, and then it's like, oh, so always love me, so I can gain 50 pounds, be no problem. So do you think we should maybe shift how we do the
language?
Yeah, like the puppy language, the sweet talk, all that shit.
And that, don't forget what he's gonna say, but that also brings me, do you think unconditional love is true? Is that real? To love somebody unconditionally?
To a child.
Thank you.
Not to another person.
Thank you.
Because there's always conditions for me loving you.
Facts.
Right? But in response to your question, I think it's less about the relationship and more about the individual. I've always been an athlete. I want to ball. Right? At 30, I can still dunk. I could drop 50 on anyone right now. Right? When I go on vacation, I want to play volleyball. I want to do all of these things. And I know how I can perform. And to me, as a therapist, the gym, that's the only space. I could put my headphones on. I could have Beyonce in my ears or Rick Ross. I might be cursing or singing to Mariah Carey. Right. And I lock in. It's me versus me. If I defeat myself every day, so I can't be defeated by nobody else. Right? I put myself through so many different exercises, courtesy of my trainer, that my ceiling for pain is increasing. My ceiling for discomfort is increasing. Not being able to have a sandwich when I want one because I have to eat 1 cup of white rice and 8 ounces of chicken breast for the 12th time. That's discipline. So eventually when I get into a stage to a space where I have more access, right? And I'm doing more work, there's gonna be shiny objects that are going to want to distract me. But I'm already so disciplined that it don't even matter. It don't matter what you're doing here. I'm committed to my work and I know exactly what I need to do. I'm so committed to my work, I don't have time for anything else. I have one thing to do in life, is to make one woman happy. So if the decision is that's going to make her happy and that's going to make her unhappy, I'm going to go with the happiness because it simplifies my life. Do you know the difference between a bachelor and a relationship guy, or vice versa for a woman?
Tell us.
Think about it. What's the difference between someone that wants to be in a relationship like you, is in a relationship like you, who's seeking a relationship like you, versus someone that say, you know what, I will always be single because that's what I enjoy? I
think stability. Stability. I feel like that person is more of like a serial monogamous, right? Like they can deal with one person for a week or two, but then they got to deal with another person
Commitment issues.
Might be commitment issues.
Yeah. You're going really deep into it. So I was surface
It's gonna be
level.
so surface. It's like the smile.
Trauma.
Is it commitment? Is it the perception on commitment is different?
It's not about interest, like where the interest really lies in that moment. It's moment to moment.
To me, right, from what I've heard and based on my research, is a lot of bachelors believe that relationships are boring. Right. As a bachelor, I'm going to have so much sex. In a relationship, I'm not going to have as much sex. But in reality, it's the opposite.
It's totally the opposite.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
What you make it.
Yes, a bachelor believes I'm going to go to the club and pick up mad woman. No, you won't. You're going to go home alone most of the nights.
Yes.
Right? And usually you're choosing to be a bachelor because someone broke your heart.
Right.
And you refuse to allow that to take place again. That's a powerful question.
Who hurt you?
And I've said this on a lot of platforms to the guy that tends to challenge what I'm saying a lot, right? My audience is mainly women because they are the ones seeking healthy relationships. And they bring their partners into it. That's how I gain my male followers. Males, they get pissed off when I talk. Like, nah, bro. She can't date that many people. That's not okay. According to who? So I asked him this question. Yo, who hurt you? Why do you feel like a woman taking space and owning herself and her body is triggering you to that degree? Who really hurt you? They can either do one of two things. If they've done their work, they can process that and shake my hand and be like, you know what? That's a good point. If they haven't done, they become more belligerent.
And more defensive.
I face both.
Wow.
Who hurt you?
This is very, very powerful.
Who hurt you?
Are you literally asking me?
What's the name?
It's
You ain't gotta say.
I was about to go. It started in the summer of 2017. Like that.
Yeah.
No, seriously though. I think my relationship issues come from a dismembered relationship with my mom because she is the non-emotional type, and that's the familiarity.
Correct.
Right. And I've always wanted that attention and affection from my mom. So when I'm attracted to a non-emotional woman,
You want to work for their love.
exactly. So then when they finally give me, even if it's not up to the threshold that I need to be satisfied emotionally, anything is better than nothing because it makes me feel special that I got her to treat me that way.
Yes. I know what kind of guys you need to date. And fun fact, right? With all of my female friends, I usually tell them whether a guy is good for them or not. And I'm usually right. Because I know who they are. And I know guys. And I know what type of guys they should be dating versus who they should not be dating. You cannot...
Wait, don't say it yet. Let's say it after we wrap up because I don't want someone to slide in my DMs on some bullshit acting like they that guy and they really not that guy. I've been bamboozled before. Okay. You guys tell me so I know what to look for. I don't want the listeners to be like, oh, this is what she... not from you. Liar. Scammer. Jawan.
I really enjoyed this interview, this conversation.
Thank you for having me. I feel like
you could have kept going because he has so much knowledge. Like,
I have so many more questions, but
has so much to give.
We're running out of time. Maybe have a part 2 if the manager allows it.
We'll see if the check's clear.
And like this is my first podcast in about 3 months. Like we took a break.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was that long.
We
you were getting burned down.
We couldn't.
Yeah.
The email stopped. The emails kept on coming.
Well, hopefully this is a great reintroduction to the podcast world for you.
Thank you, man. I enjoy this.
Please shout out where people can follow and support you.
Yes, you can find me on IG as talk2mac_therapist, talk with the number 2 Mac MAC_therapist. Currently, I can't take no more clients. Yo, my waiting list is so crazy right now. Wow. It's ridiculous, but I do have a lot of projects coming very soon. I would love to come back around February.
For sure.
For Valentine's Day, because we got some stuff that we're working on.
And if anybody wants him, you have to email me because clearly he's ignoring some of your emails.
That
and
is
I don't
true.
like that.
Right. You guys, any last minute shout outs? Any something in particular?
Not really. Just make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at CR_908.
Yes, sir.
And Retro Barbie 92.
Introvertedpod.com, youtube.com/introvertedintuition, twitter.com/introvertedpod, @introvertedintuitionpod on Instagram. And that's it. It was a great episode. And thank you so much for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.
Next time.
You heard.